Hello everyone, welcome to the video. I'm Otis and I'm currently Grandmaster in Marvel Rivals. I just thought it would be really good to make a video that could help you a lot in competitive mode. I basically came down with a list of 13 tips that I think could just give you the edge in games. I think that in Marvel Rivals, especially as a solo queue player, which is what I am, there's just little things you can do to really help you out in games, and I wanted to share that with you. But before we get into it, please like, subscribe if you want to see more content from myself, and comment. That really does help the algorithm, and obviously I'm a brand new Marvel Rivals channel as well. But let's get into it. Tip number 1. So I wanted to speak about something very vital because it will help you win more games, and that's avoiding teammates. I would basically always avoid a teammate if they were throwing, inting. I always take a look at the scoreboard at the end of the match and think, why did we really lose that? And sometimes it may be your own fault. We have to accept that we didn't play as well, but a lot of the times there are going to be players on your teams that, one, have really bad mentals, 2, they just insta-feed or just do these picks midway through the game to lose you the game because they're getting frustrated. And these are the type of people you need to avoid, because you are basically not allowing them to play with you again. And you want to look out for this on the enemy team as well. It's not just your own team. If you want to avoid someone, if you didn't even know that you could avoid someone, you just have to wait till the end of the game. You can press tab or go to the scoreboard and right click their username, click avoid his teammate. You get 3 uses for that, and it refreshes every 7 days. So it's very vital to do that. Next on my tip list that I had here, ban heroes you know that people one trick in a game. Now, this is only for diamond full lobbies. If you don't understand completely how the ban system works or when it actually happens, it's when your lobby is full of diamonds or higher. So if I had 11 diamonds in a lobby and then the 12th person was a platinum, you wouldn't have a banned game. You wouldn't have the opportunity to do bans. It needs to be diamond or higher. Now, what happens prior to you going into the team select or the hero select and the ban selections is you see everyone's name on a loading screen, just like you would in League of Legends. Now, a lot of the times you're going to play against players that one trick, and you are going to remember their usernames. Now, feel free to write them down, do whatever you want to do, be as sweaty as you want to be. If you really want to rank up and get as high as possible, you will remember their names and you will know to ban that hero. That will either tilt that person that wanted to play it, because every time I hear someone is a one trick on my team and the enemy team bans it, there's a little whinge and they're like, oh, I can't play my Hulk again, or oh, I can't play my Spider-Man, or why? And it's actually very important to do this. So really concentrate on that, because you're going to verse multiple people a lot. Especially for me, I'm in Oceania, so we don't have as big as a region or server as like America and Europe. So I see a lot more players that one trick, and I remember their names because we're a smaller community. But it actually is really helpful. Now, if you are in plat and lower, I would definitely recommend not to just one trick. Now, it's not because you're not that good with that hero. It's because once you get to diamond and people figure out that you one trick that specific hero and you don't know how to play other heroes, no matter what role it is, you're going to have a very tough time. So although you may be confident in your ability and your skill, I would just recommend that whatever role you play, just have a backup. And that takes me to tip number 4. Have at least 2 heroes you play in each role. Now, for me personally, I'm a tank and healer main. I do play a bit of duelist, but I sort of restrict myself to Namor and Star-Lord. I don't really play anything else bar that. They're the 2 heroes that I've chosen because I like playing around my supports, especially because there is a bit of dive that you see in Marvel Rivals. And for my tanks, I play Doctor Strange and Magneto, so both shield tanks. And then my supports, I would generally play Cloak and Dagger or Luna, but I pretty much can play any strategist as well. But I would definitely advise you to just be like, okay, let me broaden my spectrum. Let me just say I'm going to play these two over and over and keep doing that, because once you rank up higher, it is actually going to help you out, because generally we see in the bands, Hela, Hawkeye, Luna, Mantis, they're your 4 biggest bands, and then it sort of goes into Psylocke, Black Panther, all these little one tricky heroes that are very dangerous, and then Doctor Strange. So you always want to be prepared for that, because it is going to be annoying if you one trick. Tip number 5, play what you are best at. Now, I know that's a bit of an obvious statement to make, but why I'm saying that is because there is a lot of peer pressure and like social pressure in Marvel Rivals with the sort of open queue. Now, a lot of the times in games, you are going to see that as soon as a game loads in and then it goes into Hero Select, there's like 2 to 4 people that will pick Duelist. And then everyone just kind of sits there and is like, who's going to jump off? Are we all just going to shadow this and just play and not care? Play what you are best at. If you know that you are best at being a Star-Lord Duelist, then play it. Don't switch. Now, majority of the time, you will get people that know how to be a good strategist, that know how to be a semi-tank or okay tank, and you're going to win more than not. Now, there has to be some point of recognition when you realize that you're just bad at a character and you need some practice, but majority of the time, you know what you are best at. Stick with it, because in the long run, you will be better. If you feel that you are a good Duelist player and you're really good at like Star-Lord and Psylocke and maybe Hela, then play that. Play that, and don't give in to just being a strategist, because what happens, right, is in the game, you are then going to go, oh, you know what? I'll let you play Duelist. And then you go Mantis. And maybe 1-2 games you'll win. But there's going to be a lot of games where your Duelists are bad. And then you're going to go, I should have just played Duelist. You guys were horrible. Now, that's my suggestion anyway. But just play what you're good at. Play what you're good at. All right. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6, picking the right heroes when a fight is in overtime or towards the end of the fight is absolutely massive. Now, let me explain this. And I never ever see this. In Overwatch, what did we used to do? If you're an Overwatch player, you would know this. When it gets to an end of a fight, we would auto swap to another hero that had huge mobility or high mobility, so we could get to the point quicker. This is one of the biggest tips I can give you, because I've literally seen no one do this. They prefer to stay on Magneto, be at 89% on their ultimate, and walk like a snail in the sun back to the point. By the time they even get close to the point, your whole team is dead. And you're like, oh, okay, bad luck, guys. Let's go to the next half. What you need to start learning to do is use these heroes. Now, if you're playing strategist, get off the slow tank you are if you die. There's one exception. Doctor Strange, if you have portal up, you can stay, because that will be the quickest way to get back. And then you're obviously helping your team. If your Doctor Strange doesn't have portal, you're going Venom, you're going Thor, you're going especially Venom. Venom can get back to point very, very quickly. And because they'll be so clustered on the point, he can essentially use his right click. He can hold in, be a lot very durable, and get you buy you some time essentially. Thor's okay, he's got the 3 dashes, not better than Venom though. In your duelist role, you're going Spider-Man. You're going people that can sort of accelerate really fast. Even Black Panther. Star-Lord, Iron Man is really, really good. You're most probably looking at Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Star-Lord. These guys with these auto jetpacks, Iron Man's really, really good. These are the 3 you're really, really looking for. Please, for the love of God, when it's getting to an end of a fight and you die early in the fight and the fight is still going on, stop staying on these stagnant characters that you aren't going to get back to the point in time. Captain America is also a great one. You can dive, you can dash, you're sprinting, really, really good. And then in your duelist role, Raccoon Really, really good. If you die early as a strategist, change to Raccoon because you get an instant res that you can put near the point, and then you can do your double dash. You can run on walls like a little hamster and get there really, really fast, and you get the res as well. Really, really big to switch to Raccoon. All right. I'm going to stop talking about that because it's just a nitpicking thing that I just find really weird that people don't do. Tip number 7. Sometimes the best heroes will just win games. Okay, what do I mean by this? This is very similar to Overwatch, but sometimes if you don't have the best heroes in your team for certain roles, you're just going to lose no matter what. So many times I've versed an Iron Man, or let's put it this way. I've versed a Psylocke and Star-Lord as the duelists, and our defensive strategists are Loki, Rocket Raccoon. We are never ever going to get to a point where we can hold and stop them, because as soon as a Psylocke presses Q and as soon as a Star-Lord presses Q, we have no defensive ults. And a lot of the time, the high or OP picks actually do matter. Now, we're going to get into compositions on the next tip, but just realize that hero picks in Marvel Rivals, especially in Strategist and in Tank, really, really matter. Because a lot of the time, Hela Hawkeye are getting banned, but before that, they're really strong. Shields really, really matter. If you play only as Groot and like Penny Parker as your combo, a lot of the times you're just not going to hold because you have no shield, you have no way to block. It's going to be really, really tough. Get into the habit of playing the most OP or the top tier list heroes. If you don't know or haven't seen a tier list, go check mine out. It's up here. Put it up here somewhere, and just see what the good heroes are at the moment. It will help you out. All right, I think we're up to tip number 8, but I will say that playing in a party definitely helps. If you've got friends that are the same rank as you or close to the same rank as you, it is going to help you out. Solo queue, especially around Platinum, gets really into like elo hell because there are very stubborn people that never want to swap. And I've always prided myself on being a fill player because I know people will just insta-lock Moon Knight, insta-lock Psylocke and Hela and never switch off. And it is what it is, and you're left to do God's work. However, if you have friends to play with, especially when this is just like an open queue and there's no role queue, there's no way to like make sure that a composition is going to be a good composition, play with friends, because that is the best way that you are going to be like, okay, we're guaranteed to at least have a semi to very good composition. Next tip, stop jumping all the time. Something that I haven't seen people talk about a lot. If you are a strategist player or a duelist player that is constantly jumping, this is why you are getting headshot. Now, I'm going to relate back to Overwatch, but one of the biggest things when the enemy team had a Widow was you would never, ever, ever jump against her, because what happens when you jump, and I'll do this in practice range, is that you lose control of what you can do. Now, in Marvel Rivals, we do not get the ability to crouch and sort of teabag and go up and down and sort of change where our head is. But when you jump, this is what happens. Your head stays kind of like level, and it's a lot easier to hit. You need to get into the headspace and the habit of strafing or going strafe, right, left, and trying to switch things up there. Jumping in this game will hurt you, especially when you're duelist against duelist, when you're strategist against the duelist. You really need to pay attention to that, because there are some move speed buffs in this game that will give you that strafing edge. Really, really important. Next tip is play in your position on the map. Now, you might be like, what is this guy talking about? If you are a strategist player, understand that your most powerful position is to be behind the duelist and behind the tank. I cannot stress to you how many times I've seen a Mantis that thinks they are a Hela Hawkeye in front of the duelist. Now, this is not to say that I haven't seen Mantis players who get 24 elims in a game and they have very good heals and they're just a very good player. I'm not saying that. But when you do not have vision of what you need to have vision for your team to excel, that's when you're putting your team sort of behind. That's when they are not as strong. Where you are strongest as a strategist, unfortunately, if you don't want to play strategist and healing is a big part of this game and supporting is a big part of this game, is behind everyone. If you're a Mantis, you want to be able to see the duelist, give them damage buff, and then assess when you think pushing up will be better. But I've seen strategist players who literally push up, and I'm like, why are you in the front line with the Wolverine as a cloak and dagger and you're dead and I can see your death icon? Like, why are you there? I just don't get it. If you have range, use range to your advantage. And this is the same for duelists. A lot of the time, duelists don't play behind their tanks. A lot of the time, tanks play behind their duelists. Understand your role. Understand what you're playing. Now, this isn't to say that if you're a Venom player, you shouldn't be diving in. Your role as a Venom player is to dive, assess, go in, and actually distract the backline just like a Captain America. But do it at the right time so your team can benefit off it. Don't just be the Venom or the Captain America that goes and dives in when your team isn't there ready to fight. Because a lot of the times, what will happen is a Venom swings in and he thinks, I'm going to dive in the backline, I'm going to distract the Mantis and Luna and whoever, and then everyone can push him and we win. But they do it at the wrong times. And then all of a sudden, Venom's on a quarter health. He dies and he goes, what were you guys doing? And you need to be able to understand the best timings for things. You need to understand that using your hero and what they do, their style, whether they're a strategist, duelist, or a tank, or a vanguard, sorry, how you should be playing that role. It's very, very important. Next tip, if you are not in voice chat, get in voice chat. Now, I can understand that in these games where voice chat is available, things can get toxic, things can get heated, where some of us in gaming are very, very competitive. But call-outs are king. If you have a team versus a team that never speaks and is completely quiet versus a similar team of same skill level, of similar composition, that make call-outs and speak to each other, I guarantee you 95% of the time, the call-out team is going to win. For me personally, and I will be putting out a lot more gameplay videos, I like to make a huge amount of call-outs and use my middle scroll button pinging. So what I will do is I'll go Mantis 1, Mantis half, and I'll ping her. The ping in this game is really, really important. Call-outs and pinging is huge. Get into the habit of doing those things if you want to rank up. Last but not least, the last tip I can give you. Take a bloody break if you're on a very bad loss streak. Whether that be play quick play, whether it be go to YouTube, type in the hero that you're playing and look at someone who's a top 500 and just sit back, have something to eat, have a drink of water, and just see how they play that hero. A lot of the times we get into this sort of like rut and then we just want to keep playing and playing and it gets worse and worse and we start hating the game. Just take a break, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 30, even for the whole day. I know it's hard, but taking a break is really, really important. Look, I think that was 13 tips. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's 13 tips, but I hope these help you out, guys. Try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe there's a tip you think that I haven't mentioned that should be mentioned. Put it in the comments. Definitely glad to hear it. And good luck in your games. Do what you need to do. Check out my tier list once again. If you want to know who the best of the best are, I would definitely say Wolverine is the most annoying hero to verse. It gets really, really frustrating. But like, subscribe, comment. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm Otis. Take care of yourself. Good luck.